we're going to show you how to, in this clip, we're going to show you how to add a splash form to your program. Now you can add the splash form at any time, and I'm going to show you how to set it up so it'll start on the flash form. If you, however, add it at the beginning, you don't have to go through the setup to reposition it. But if you already have your program set, as I do here, a sort of little fake program, we're going to put in a splash form as though we had finished our program and decided on a splash form later. To add a splash form, first we have to add a second form to our project. So you go up to the project, you right-click on the project, come down to Add, and then choose New Item, which is off to the side here, and you cannot see. It's the top one, New Item. Alright, up comes the New Item screen, and you have all sorts of things you can add, including, look, a splash screen. Well, that's nice, but I want us to make our own. I don't want anything like this. And besides, this one doesn't have the standard timer system on it that I want to use. So we're going to start, and we're going to click way over on this one just to add a standard Windows form. Now this is a good place to rename it. So let's rename it right here. We're going to call this FRM Splash. S-P-L-A-S-H, not S-K-P. But S-P-L-A-S-H. Okay, Splash. For a splash form. Notice I left the VB because that's the file name we're adding. So we go ahead and hit Add. And if you watch in a few seconds, it should appear as part of my project. I hope. There it comes. And I've got a new form now to work with, as well as my old form is still there. It should have been named. I'm going to resize it slightly. A couple things I want to make sure of the splash. I've called it Form Splash, but it doesn't matter what I do the text as long as I've got the name. Here it is, Form Splash. I'm going to do a few things with it. The first thing I'm going to do is to find a background picture, background image, okay. I'm going to change the image type from tiled to stretch, because that way the image will work and move with the size of things. Then I'm going to go click on background image and put a nice image. Now to put a nice image, you have to go locate resources, unless you already have images stored in your project, which we don't at this point. I'm going to import, and if I go out to my disk drive, to the programs drive, and remember on mine it's Q and on yours it's P, the programs drive on the server, and go into a folder called Images, that's where I've got a lot of images stored. I would like to see those so I can see them. So I'm going to come up to here, drop down this arrow, and go to Thumbnails. And that'll allow me to see what I'm selecting. Alright, let's see. How about something that's a little bright and airy? Let's try this one, alright? And so I'm going to open it, and it opens it in here. And I'm now going to say OK, and there it puts it on my screen. By choosing the Select property, you see, it allows me to increase this, and it increases the size of the picture, or decrease it. Of course, I can distort the picture quite a bit if I want to, depending on how I set it up. One reason I chose this is because the background is rather consistent up in this area, right in here, and that's where I'll put some titles and some words, and that's what I want you to do. So on a splash screen, things that you should have. Well, let's go file and get a label here. There it is. And let's put a label right there. And the label we're going to put right there, let's see, it's going to ask me to put the text in first. So I'm going to put in the name of my program. Let's just put Splash, S-P-L-A-S-H is the name of my program. And then I come up to the name, of course, and name it LBL. Let's call it Title, T-I-T-L-E. Alright. And let's come down. I want to make it bigger, so where is my font at? Font, here it is, font. I'm going to choose a font with a little box here. Let's see, how big should I make it? 24, does that look nice? Bold, sure, why not? Okay. That's pretty good. And also, you should have, not only that, but you should also put a label on there for your name. Where's label? And we'll do another one real quick here. And let's not make it quite as large in font. We'll make it 16 bold in font, alright? And then we got to put our name here. Let's call it LBL. LBL name. Alright, and you're going to type your name. Your name. Alright. So you're going to put your name there. Now, the way those labels look isn't too nice. Let's get them to blend a little better into the background. If I come up to font color, well, let's work on instead of font color. Oh, gee. Where is it found? Background style is the one I want here. Background style. Nope, actually background color. There we go. Background color. Go to the web and you can get actually a transparent. And you see, look what I did with the name. Now let's do the same thing with the splash. Background color. Click on it, drop down, go to the web, and use the transparent. And immediately it'll be transparent then. And you'll be able to put your name against a background. Now, the dangers of that is that look, if I put it down here, that would be really hard to read. So you got to make sure you do this on a background where you're going to be able to see it. And on your device, on your programs from now on, I want a splash screen on every program you make. You need to put the name of the program up in here. You need to put your name, and you probably should put like the period and the date. Would be nice also to put on here. You should always include the date. I'm not going to include that at this time. To make my splash screen actually work, I'm going to need a couple of things. One is I'm going to need to put well, first of all, I need to take the timer off because most splash screens don't, or the border off rather, because most splash screens don't have a border. So let's look for a form border style or something of that sort. Let's see, I got to go to here. Let's see, form border style, and instead of sizable, I'm going to make it none. And that removes my border to make it look like just a splash screen, and the user doesn't have much control. Another thing that I need to do is I need to get this thing to appear and then disappear on its own. And to do that, we have to make use of a little object called the timer. So I come over to the toolbox. The timer, you can either find it up here in all windows, or you can find it down here in components. I'm going to open up the components, scroll down a ways, and there's the timer, the last one. I'm going to click on it. Now if I come up here and draw on the form, it doesn't appear on the form. Look down here at the bottom. You see? This is where it appears. And that's because it's not visible at the time of the running. Whenever you run the program, the timer will not be visible. And that's what you want. Alright, well, we're going to name it TMR, and I'm going to call it Splash, S-P-L-A-S-H. Okay, did I do that right? Yep, TMR, Splash. The interval is the amount of time it's going to stay on the screen, and I want to have it on, well, it's in milliseconds, so that means every 1,000 makes a second. I want it up there for about 3 seconds, so I'm going to put 3,000. Okay. And of course, I want it enabled as soon as the program starts. So this is going to be what happens immediately. It's going to enable the timer and start the timer and let it run for 3 seconds. Alright, so now I'm going to come over here and double click to go into my code. Alright, I'm in my code. I should do everything up here. Okay, like quote my name, enter, quote splash H. This is a splash demo. Probably should put the date first, shouldn't I? Quote, and today is 4-8-08. Okay. And as usual, even though I'm not using any, I'm going to put it anyways. Option OPT space E space. I'm just going to hit enter, and it should put option explicit on. If I were using variables on this form, great. I would then put the variables in here, but I'm not. Notice when I double click the timer, I got this sub right here, and the name of the sub is timer splash dash tick. And what it does is when the timer goes off, it activates this routine, so anything you put in here is activated. Alright, so there's several things we want to do. First of all, we want to turn the timer off. So I'm going to say TMR, where'd we go to? There it is, splash dot enabled splash tick. No, I didn't want splash tick. I want splash dot enabled equals false. Okay, now the timer is turned off, shut down, no more timing. Okay, the next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to make my actual program appear. And if I've forgotten the name of that actual program form, I can take a look right over here. You see where I'm looking? And just take the first part of this, because if I've named them all the same, this will be the name of my form right here. I don't use the .vb, just the name part of it. Okay, so let's come back over here, and I will say FRM form, main form, that's right, dot, and I want it to appear, so I want it to load, show. I want it to show. There it is, show. Okay, so now the main form is going to show on the screen. So the timer went off, it stopped the timer, it now is showing the main form. Well, the splash screen is still there someplace. I don't want the splash screen to be there anymore, so I'm going to do me dot let's see, me dot hide, I think. Yeah, that's what I want. So now it's going to hide the form. It's going to hide the form that's currently in operation, which is the splash form. You cannot refer to the name of a form within the form itself. Excuse me. We are in a form called splash, or form splash. I couldn't put the word form splash dot hide. I will have to instead put me hide, since that's the current frame on it. Alright, so this is working fairly well. That should work just fine. Let's save it and try to run it just to see what happens. Here goes. And if I try to run the program, you'll see that I'm not going to get very far. And it's taking a little while, and it's taking its good old time. Come on. There we go. But did I get my splash form? No, I didn't get my splash form. Alright, so let me stop it. And we're back. Why didn't I get my splash form? Well, important thing. I didn't tell it to come up first. To do that, you go to Project, down to Project Properties, and computer slow. Right down here, Startup Form. No, I don't want it to be here. I want it to be the splash form, right there. There it is. Alright, let's save it again. And let's just go and see if this is going to work now. Start it. Here goes. Splash form. 1, 2, 3. Went too fast, didn't it? Why did it disappear? I mean, I saw it for a second there, and then it disappeared. Alright, I'm going to stop it. And let's go see why it went so fast. Okay, I need to go to the timer again, I believe. Well, timer says 3,000. And this did what? After 3,000, Interval 3000. Yeah, that should have worked. I'm going to start it. Let's see what happens. There. No, it just came up with that form again. Come on, guys. What's going on here? Let's go to projects again. Make sure that got set. Projects. Wait a minute. Application. Assembly. Here, yeah. This is it. It says that form splash. Okay, that should work. My startup form was form splash, right? Form splash is my startup form. Alright. One more time. Let's go off of this here. Let's go back to design. Let's go back to here. Run. Here goes. You know what? I'm going to go to the form load and set this up. Probably be a good idea. Let's double click on this form and we'll get the form load function. We're going to enable and activate it from here, from the form load. So when the form loads, that's when we're going to enable the timer. So we want TMR, timer splash, right? Dot interval equals 3000. Enter. TMR up for splash dot enabled equals true. Okay. And that's what we're going to do here. Alright, so we're going to take that, we're going to take that. I'm going to go back to the form and not get the timer here. And I'm not going to enable it here when the program first starts. So let's see if that works any better. Save it all. Run it. Now, only when that form loads, after it loads, the timer should start. There, timer 1001, 1002, 1000, and there it comes, and it just loaded. Alright, now, here's an important part. Watch this. If I close this, notice that didn't stop the program. Take a look right here. It's still running. Okay? So I've got to stop it like this. Now what happens when it actually runs on a computer manually? It won't stop. It'll hang up things on your computer. So what we need to do is we need to go to this form and we need to go into, I'm going to double click on the form itself, and we don't want the load option, we want the closing option. So let's find closing, which should be up here someplace. One more. Let's see, is there a closing? There is not a closing. There is a disposed. Let's do the disposed. That will work. And in this one now, we want to say form splash, form, now we want to say FRM, FRM, S, okay, dot, closing, C-L-O, dot, yeah, close, C-L-O-S-E, close, okay, not close. Alright, and that will close our form then for us automatically. As soon as the main form is closed, it will then close the splash form also. So again, we save, and let's see if this works now. We got to look up and make sure it is closed. So it's starting, it's starting, it's starting. There we've got our splash form, goes 1001, 1002, 1003. We've got this form. It's loaded now, and we get rid of it, and sure enough, if you take a look right up here, it's closed. Okay. All right, what I want to make sure you do is remember to put splash forms on your projects from now on.